Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. What I want to do now is scenario 2, where I'm going to expand this a little bit. So rather than just looking at one single connection between one customer and one product, I want to put in a few more connections, a few more products, a few more customers, and we'll see how those interact with one another. So what we have in this scenario is multiple rules establishing connections between products and customers. So this is an already configured storefront, which again, you have access to. So the scenario 2 storefront. What we're going to do in the next slides is address these rules in order of weighting to see what impacts they're going to have on our connections, see how they actually work. And this scenario primarily aims to clarify the order in which rules are enacted and how they influence how the connections are actually working. So just a brief example, what we've got here is 3 products. We've got 3 customers. 2 of those products are in a category. 2 of those customers are in a department. And we've got all of these connections, which we've defined as various rules linking up these different products. Now, as I mentioned, we do have this in another page as well, which I've lost the link to at the moment, but we'll work with that. Right. So step 1 here is the default access. So again, the default access applies it's part of the general setup for access permissions. So it will always apply. So in this case, we've denied default access. So no customer has access to any product without any other rules being applied. So now remember, we're going to proceed from the highest to the lowest weighted rules. That's how this order of operation occurs. So the first example we've got here is a direct customer to product connection. So customer 3 has been granted access to product 3. That's got the highest weighting in this case, a weighting of 2. Nice and easy. Don't need to go into much else on that. One customer has access to one product. As we've talked about already, the same methodology can also be utilized to deny access, to establish a connection, to refuse access to a product. So this is regardless of the fact that the default access is saying it's denied. This is kind of cementing that capability. So in this case, we've defined a rule which says customer 3 cannot access product 2. So that is now an established connection. Now, our third rule here is showing that it doesn't just have to be a single customer or a single product. So our third rule is saying that Department 1 has been granted access to Category 1. And what that means is that we establish multiple connections here between multiple products and multiple customers. So with that one rule, we've applied all of these different connections and we fix those in place. Our next rule, and we're still going down weighting here, so these are less and less priority, is for customer 3 to be granted access to Category 1. Now, what this should do on the face of it is grant that customer access to both product 1 and product 2. However, we need to be aware that one of those connections has already been established using a previous rule. So we had a previous rule which granted customer 3 access to product 2, denied access rather, between those. Because that previous rule was higher weighting, we do not override it with this one. So even though we've said customer 3 has access to Category 1, the only connection that will be changed and established is this one here. Okay, and I was hoping to show that. So let me just change my sample storefronts. Yeah, so you'll have access to this. This is one of the sample storefronts I've given you. If I just show the rules that we've been created for that one, you can see that's been covered with 4 rules. We've got 2 rules which have a weighting of 2, which are single customer to single product. We've got 1 rule with a weighting of 1, which is department to category. and then our final rule, which was one customer to a category. And that's exactly the scenario that we've been looking at.